How to tell stories in English like a native. Have you ever tried to tell a story in English, but something felt wrong? Maybe you wanted to share a funny memory with your friends, but when you finished, no one laughed. Or you told an interesting experience from your life, but people just nodded without showing any emotion. It felt like they didn't really understand what you wanted to say. That's a terrible feeling, right? Imagine this. Imiko, a Japanese student, wants to tell her classmates about a strange thing that happened to her yesterday. She says, "Yesterday, I walked in the park. A dog followed me. I ran. The dog ran too. I was scared." Then she stops and looks at her friends, expecting them to react. But they just smile politely. No surprise, no laughter, nothing. Now let's think about Mateo from Argentina. He wants to tell his English-speaking colleagues about a funny situation at work. He starts, "My boss came. He saw my desk. He said, 'Why is it so messy?' I said, 'Because I work a lot.' He laughed. But when he looks at his colleagues, they don't seem very interested. What went wrong? They used the right words, they spoke clearly, but something was missing. The secret is not just words, it's how you tell the story. In English, native speakers don't just say facts. They add emotion, change their tone, use expressions, and build suspense. This makes the listener feel like they are inside the story. And here's the good news. You can learn this skill. In this video, I will teach you the secrets of telling stories in English like a native speaker. You will learn how to make your stories interesting and natural, the best expressions and phrases to use, how to use your voice and emotions to make your listener feel something. By the end of this video, you'll be able to tell stories that make people laugh, feel surprised, and stay engaged. Let's begin. Common mistakes in storytelling and how to fix them. Now, let's talk about the biggest mistakes that make your stories feel boring or unnatural. Many English learners make these mistakes without realizing it. But don't worry. I will show you how to fix them with fun and dramatic examples. Mistake number 1. Speaking like a robot, no emotion, no feeling. Imagine Bao, a student from Vietnam, is telling a story about getting lost in a new city. He says, "Yesterday, I went to a new city. I walked. I didn't know the place. I felt lost. Then I found my way home." Okay, but where's the feeling? Where's the drama? This story should make us feel nervous and excited. But it sounds flat. It sounds like a list, not a story. How to fix it? Let's add some emotion and details. Yesterday, I went to a new city. At first, everything was fine. But then, I realized something. I didn't know where I was. I checked my phone, no battery. I asked people for help, but they didn't speak my language. My heart was beating fast. Am I going to sleep on the street tonight? But then, after 1 hour, I saw a small shop. The owner spoke my language. He helped me, and finally, I found my way home. What a crazy day. See the difference? Now we feel Bao's emotions. We are inside his experience. Mistake number 2. Forgetting to create suspense. Meet Luca, a guy from Italy. He wants to tell his friends about a scary experience. He says, "Last night, I was alone at home. The lights turned off. I was scared. Then the lights came back. It was a cat." Wait, what? That was so fast. There was no suspense, no build-up, no mystery. How to fix it? Let's slow it down and add some tension. Last night, I was alone at home. Everything was quiet, too quiet. Suddenly, the lights flickered. And then, complete darkness. My heart stopped. I heard a noise. "Who's there?" I whispered. No answer. My hands were shaking as I reached for my phone. But before I could turn on the flashlight, bam, something moved. My breath caught in my throat. I slowly turned my head. And then, a tiny black cat jumped onto my lap. Seriously, I almost had a heart attack because of a cat. Now, the listener feels the tension and the funny ending. Good stories need suspense. Mistake number 3, using only short, simple sentences. Now, let's talk about Alina from Ukraine. She's telling a funny story. I went to a restaurant. I ordered soup. It was very hot. I ate fast. I burned my mouth. It was painful. Well, the story makes sense, but it sounds like a robot is talking. The sentences are too short and choppy. How to fix it? We need to connect ideas and make it flow. So, I was in this beautiful restaurant and I ordered some soup. It smelled amazing, but there was one problem. I was so hungry that I didn't wait for it to cool down. I took one big spoonful, and ouch, my mouth was on fire. I grabbed my water, but guess what? It was warm, too. The waiter saw my face and ran to bring me ice. It was so embarrassing, but so funny. Now the story flows naturally, and the emotions make it more fun. Mistake number 4, translating directly from your language. Meet Javier from Spain. He wants to tell his British friend a common Spanish joke, so he translates it directly. A man walks into a bar. He asks for a drink. The bartender gives him a shoe. The man says, "I didn't ask for a shoe." The bartender says, "But you asked for a drink." This doesn't make sense in English. How to fix it? Instead of translating word for word, we should find a way to say the joke naturally in English. A guy walks into a bar and asks for a strong drink. The bartender gives him a glass. But inside there's a dumbbell. The man looks confused. "What's this?" The bartender says, "You asked for something strong." Now, the joke makes sense because it's adapted for English speakers. What's next? Now that we know the biggest mistakes, it's time to learn how to tell amazing stories like a native speaker. In the next section, I'll show you the best words and expressions to sound natural, how to use your voice and tone, a fun storytelling challenge for you. Let's go. How to tell stories like a native speaker, the secret techniques. Have you ever listened to a native speaker tell a story and thought, "Wow, why does their story sound so interesting, but mine sounds boring"? Or maybe you've been in a conversation where you told a story, but people just nodded and said, "Oh, okay," instead of laughing, being surprised, or asking questions. That moment feels terrible, right? It makes you feel like your English isn't good enough. But guess what? Your English is not the problem. The real problem is how you tell your story. Think about your favorite movies. What makes them exciting? Great acting, emotions, expressions, and body language. Vivid details. You can see, hear, and feel everything. suspense, and surprises. You want to know what happens next. But here's the good news. You don't need perfect English to tell a great story. You just need the right techniques. In this video, you'll learn 5 secret techniques that native speakers use to make their stories more dramatic, more engaging, more memorable. By the end of this video, you'll be able to tell stories that make people laugh, gasp, or even feel emotional, just like a native speaker. Let's go. 5 secret techniques to tell stories like a native speaker. Now that you know why storytelling is important, let's dive into the 5 powerful techniques that native speakers use to make their stories exciting, emotional, and unforgettable. Technique number 1. Set the scene like a movie director. Many English learners start their stories like this. Yesterday, I went to a restaurant. It was nice. The food was good. Boring. No emotion, no details, no life. Here's the secret. Native speakers paint a picture in your mind. They make you see, hear, smell, and feel the moment. Better example. It was a cold, rainy evening, and I was starving. I stepped into this little Italian restaurant, and the smell of fresh garlic and melted cheese hit me immediately. The waiter, an old man with a huge mustache, smiled and said, "Welcome, my friend." See the difference? Now, you feel like you're there. Pro tip. Use the 5 senses to bring your story to life. Sight. The restaurant had dim, golden lights and wooden tables. Sound. Soft jazz music played in the background. Smell. The air was filled with the smell of fresh bread and roasted garlic. Touch. The menu was thick, like an old book, and smelled like leather. Taste. The first bite of pizza was warm, cheesy, and slightly crispy. The more details you give, the more engaged your listener becomes. Technique number 2. Add drama and emotion. Think of a boring story you've heard. Maybe someone said, "I missed the bus. Then I took a taxi. Then I got to work." No drama, no excitement. But watch how native speakers add emotion. Better example. I ran to the bus stop, but bam. The doors closed right in my face. My heart dropped. I looked at my watch. I was going to be late for the biggest meeting of my life. Now it feels like a movie. Pro tip. Use expressions and emotions to make your story more exciting. My jaw dropped. Surprised. I was furious. Angry. I couldn't stop laughing. Funny. I froze. My hands were shaking. Scared. The more emotion you put in, the more your audience connects with your story. Technique number 3. Use suspense. Keep them curious. Great storytellers don't tell everything at once. They create suspense to keep people curious. For example, if you say, "I saw a celebrity at the airport." End of story. It's not exciting. Instead, build up the suspense. Better example. I was sitting at the airport bored when suddenly I noticed something strange. People were whispering and taking pictures. I turned my head and I couldn't believe my eyes. You won't believe who I saw. Now, your listener is dying to know who you saw. Pro tip. Use mystery phrases to create suspense. And then, something crazy happened. But that was just the beginning. I didn't know it yet, but my life was about to change. Keep them on the edge of their seat. Technique number 4. Use humor and unexpected twists. Native speakers love stories with funny moments or surprising twists. A simple moment can become hilarious with the right delivery. For example, "So, I was trying to impress my date with my amazing cooking skills. I told her, I'll make the best omelet you've ever had." 5 minutes later, the fire alarm was screaming, smoke filled the kitchen, and I realized I had set the pan on fire. Adding humor makes your stories more engaging. Pro tip: use funny exaggeration to make stories more entertaining. "It was so hot outside, I felt like a roasted chicken. The burger was so big, I needed a ladder to eat it." Make people laugh, and they'll remember your story forever. Technique number 5. Speak naturally and use body language. Even the best story can sound boring if you tell it like this. "So, I went to the store, and I bought a drink." The way you tell the story is just as important as the story itself. Better example: use hand gestures to show size or emotions. Change your voice tone to make different characters sound unique. Pause at the right moments to create suspense. Pro tip: try recording yourself and watching how you tell a story. Do you sound excited or monotone? Do you use facial expressions or just stand still? Storytelling is like acting. Use your voice, hands, and face to make it come alive. Time to practice. Tell your own story. Now that you know the 5 secret techniques, let's try them out. 1. Think of a funny, dramatic, or surprising story from your life. 2. Set the scene. Use senses to describe it. 3. Add drama. Use expressions and emotions. 4. Create suspense. Don't tell everything at once. 5. Use humor and body language. Make it engaging. Challenge: tell your story using these techniques. Record yourself and see the difference. Congratulations! You're now a storytelling pro. The more you practice, the more natural your stories will sound. And soon, people will be hanging on every word you say. Did you enjoy this lesson? Let me know in the comments. The grand finale: become a storytelling pro. Wow, you made it to the end. Now let's quickly wrap things up and give you a final boost of motivation. Quick recap: 5 secrets to storytelling like a native. Let's go over the key techniques you learned today. 1. Set the scene like a movie director. Describe sights, sounds, smells, and feelings to make your story come alive. 2. Add drama and emotion. Don't just say what happened. Express how it felt. Use emotions and reactions. 3. Keep them curious with suspense. Hold back details and build anticipation to keep your audience engaged. 4. Use humor and unexpected twists. Surprise your listener with funny or shocking moments to make your story memorable. 5. Speak naturally and use body language. Use voice tone, facial expressions, and gestures to bring your story to life. Each of these techniques will help you transform a simple story into an exciting, unforgettable experience. The key to success: practice. You might be thinking, okay, this sounds great, but how do I actually get better at storytelling? The answer is simple. Practice, practice, and practice some more. Here's a challenge for you. Step 1. Pick a short, interesting story from your life. A funny, dramatic, or surprising moment. Step 2. Use the 5 techniques you learned today. Step 3. Record yourself. Watch it, improve it, and try again. Step 4. Share your story in the comments. Let's create a storytelling community where we help each other improve. Your next step. Keep improving. Storytelling is a skill. And just like any skill, the more you practice, the better you get. Don't worry if your first story isn't perfect. No one starts as an expert. Every time you tell a story, you're getting one step closer to fluency. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress. And remember, your stories matter. The way you tell them is unique. The world needs to hear your voice. Join the storytelling revolution. If you enjoyed this lesson and found it helpful, don't forget to like this video. It helps more learners find this. Subscribe for more amazing tips. Don't miss future lessons. Comment below. Tell me a short, fun story using today's techniques. Your support helps this channel grow, and together we can make English learning fun, exciting, and easy. Now go out there and tell amazing stories. The world is waiting to listen. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.